Hey, what's up YouTube? I just want to do this quick review over this Coding Jesus' video after he reviewed some pirate software code. There's some things that I want to talk about that I don't think are 100% correct, and I just want to go over them in this video so we can begin.
Thor has not only what appears to be lied about his experience
studio, Pirate Software, by the same name, which is an indie studio.
about any of this. Well, I'm a C++ developer with 5 years of experience in the quantitative trading space. I've read dozens of books on C++ and over half a dozen books just on C++ design, from influencers in the space to professors to people that also have YouTube channels to time-tested and trusted books. I've read a lot, and while I'm not an authority in C++, I'm pretty likely to be somebody that can suss out a bad practice if I...
It's really good that you've read a lot of those books, but there's also a thing called information overload, which I think can have a negative effect on a developer sometimes. You could read one book, the Dennis Ritchie on C programming, and dish out a bunch of really good code. Or you could be somebody that read 20 C++ books and you could dish out really bad code. Or you could be somebody that hasn't read any books at all and just watched the Cherno project on YouTube for 10 years, and you could be a master programmer. It's really a cumulative effect on your knowledge and experience in the industry as a whole, not necessarily how many books that you read, if that makes sense.
see one. At least I hope.
That's my first kind of gripe or response to the video. Let's go to his other one.
The description box below. I recommend people actually download these VODs before he takes them down, because honestly, if I was claiming I'm a game developer with 20 years of experience, this would be embarrassing to have online. Let's take a look at what's really wrong about this, and I don't even need to be a game dev to understand that. When you look at the code here...
Yes, I think it's important to be a game dev here because a lot of these game engines have their own dynamically compiled languages that all kind of interact differently with certain code. So it's important to have that as a context in the back of your head.
What do you see? You see a lot of magic numbers. That's an industry term for numbers that don't have any description or explanation as to what they are or why they exist.
And this is kind of wrong here because there's some magic numbers here in the function parameter values. However, effect underscore drop and sprite underscore spark are references that GML gives you that access an object in the engine. For example, this is probably a sprite that's referencing a spark texture, and obviously right here effect drop is referencing the particle system that was created. And a lot of this code is seen throughout GML for 10 to 20 years. This same kind of code is probably in the Hotline Miami source code.
means, for example, unsigned 32-bit integer.
Okay, so for here he wants to use variables before we pass them into the function parameter. The problem with this is, how many functions are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then let's just say 3 or 4, because there are some different values here. 270, 360, 14. So there's probably, let's say 8 times 3. So there's going to be 24 of these variable names just to set up this particle.
But why would you even give another developer the option to write question asked equals 42? In theory, that should be true, because anything other than 0 is true, but why even allow somebody to write...
Because it's a dynamically compiled language. That int could be anything. I think, I haven't used a GameMaker engine in a while, but I'm pretty sure you can even convert that or set it to a string and it would probably work.
Code that can potentially be that confusing.
It's not statically typed, so I don't think he's understanding that.
Just a no-go. Another thing here that I noticed is the absurd amount of comments.
Yeah, the comments is kind of true. There's some redundancy there, but this not that big of a deal. Yeah, he could probably remove some of these.
Most of the time, you make a simple
keep
if
going.
statement and a simple and for we have asked the question and question asks equals 1 is totally superfluous, a waste of time, a waste of space.
Not necessarily, because he could be using this question underscore asked variable inside of this block depending on what the user is going to click on the next quest storyline button or whatever.
Represents a person, he needs to remember that it's Shelly, which is presumably a game character. Imagine removing all these comments. Would you, as a newly added game developer to his game project, have any idea that one is Shelly?
And that's the thing, though. It's not really going to be any new devs. This is just his hobby project.
You would have no idea. This would never ever be allowed in a production repository. And like
It's not really a production enterprise kind of game. It's just a hobby dev thing that he's working on.
I've been hinting, it's below what you'd expect of a bottom tier intern. One way to improve this,
I think that's kind of an overreach. A bottom tier intern, I don't agree with that at all. I think the Pirate Software guy has been a coder for 15 or 20 years. I'm sure he knows about named constants, enums, readability, and all that jazz. He doesn't have to worry about production environment. It's his hobby project. It's his game. He compiles the GML and compiles his game from GameMaker, and then he ships it on Steam. He's the producer. It's his production environment. So